And we're live. Oh, wait, it would help if I popped over to Instagram to see what I was doing.
To the G. IG. To the G.
There we go. We are live on the gram. Good morning, everybody. It is Social Surge with Fly and Mo. I am Mo Regalado. It's magic, you know.
One day I'm going to be chill and stable enough to like get out my like DJ board and like do like special effects, and I swear
Dr. Gamash, he is joined.
What is up? Yeah, it's there's always room to grow.
You have like an actual. You know what? You should totally bring that. You and Adam Dunn. You guys should have like your own show.
We're planning. I need to call him for several reasons, but when he does the 100-day, hold on, I have my trophy. Yes, 100-day sprint. 100-day sprint 2025 is going to come up soon, and it is something that Adam Dunn does every year. In 100 days before the end of the year, you commit to doing something every single day that's going to grow your business. And so last year, myself and Matt Drain and Adam Dunn were the only 3 people who committed to the challenge and followed through, which is why I have a sick trophy that Ruby, my daughter, thinks is like way more.
She thinks it's cool.
A big accomplishment, you know? And
it is.
And so, but I think that this year he and I are planning on creating some content around that together to kind of like encourage people more, because, you know, like I will say this all the time, and we're already getting off track, but it's like one of the best things that you can do for yourself in this space is have a recurring content series, whether that is, you know, you're going live, you know, whatever, you know, on a regular schedule like we do, or you do something quarterly or annually, right? And like you kind of like people associate, you know, you with that, and then, you know, they see you, they kind of know what to expect, and having a repeatable format is like, it's choice.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, every time. So I remember us talking about the fact that I was complaining, basically in my mind, that like I'm not creating content. And you're like, you do a show every single day. You're live every single day. What are you talking about?
I was so mad when you said that. I was like, what are you talking about? Also, so somebody made me mad in my DMs yesterday, and I haven't responded yet. But what they said was they posted something, and it didn't perform the way that they wanted to do. And so the DM that they sent me was, okay, what did I do wrong? I haven't responded yet because I'm muy busy, but I will give the first thing that I am going to respond to him with, to everybody, is the absolute first thing that you need to do is switch your language and mindset about that, because the idea of doing something wrong like just doesn't exist. There are only actions and data that come from the results. And so like having a mindset, and this actually will lead into what we're meant to talk about today, but having a mindset that of fear or worry, or that you've made a mistake, or that you're doing something wrong if like what you're intending to do doesn't happen in reality based on just like what happens, like the result, the data that you get from experimenting, from posting, from starting to put content out, like is what you can look at to get closer to reaching your goal.
Right.
Not about you did something wrong and therefore you are bad and should feel bad. Like I don't want people to feel that way. If you put out a post that didn't hit the way that you wanted it to, you didn't do something wrong. There's just something there's something that needs to be tweaked. And there are a litany of reasons why something may not hit the way that you expected, which is worth talking about, but it's not about having done it wrong. And I really want to eradicate fear out of this platform, because the fear of making a mistake is what, yes, 100%. Look for patterns, not reactions. Danielle with the nugs. Anyway, operating from a place of fear and worry that you're going to make a mistake if you post something incorrectly will keep you from getting to the results that you want. That's the first monologue of the day. Good morning.
I love it. Good morning to Regalado Real Estate, who's joining us on the gram, as well as Scott Levitt. Appreciate you guys being with us. And today we are we're actually continuing a conversation that we started on Tuesday. And we didn't get through the entire conversation. And it really had to do with people. So Tuesday's show was all about the lessons, right? Everybody has a lesson. Here's what my 5 hours sitting on the toilet because I had food poisoning taught me about business. Right? Like, right? And then I shared, and it's actually funny because I haven't written the story yet. I shared a story about what happened to me at the pool on Monday, and we made this whole funny thing about stay in your lane. And then when Fly was sending me, when she was sending me show notes for today, I sent her a message back and I was like, stay in your lane, right? But the whole point of what we're talking about today is the power of personality content, really. It is the power of storytelling. And how do you create stories that are going to get engagement, that are going to have a reaction of some kind? Now, I would like to say that you are going to have lurkers on social that are never going to interact with your content.
Never.
And we see it a lot on X. If you follow Strip Mall Guy on X, he talks about this quite a bit. Coy Davidson has talked about it. People will reach out to them and say, hey, I'm interested in doing business with you. I follow you on X. Never interacted with your content, never done anything. But because of you consistently showing up and providing value, this is why I already feel like I like, know, and trust you, right? Like I already feel like we have a relationship, even though I've never done anything with you before. Yes.
I want to say too, just as like a piece of this, and because this happens on LinkedIn as well, I'm seeing it happen more, and also personally seeing this happen. But in addition to posting on your own, which is very much about, sharing your personality, sharing how you think, sharing your values, sharing your work, sharing your results, all that, right?
Right.
One of the things that I see also increase that familiarity of when people have never interacted with you, but then they start a conversation with like a level of trust. They see how you interact with other people publicly in your comments.
This is
huge deal. That because they're not just looking at your posts, they're looking at everything. Yes. And so the back and forth that you have with people, because there are people, there's Tom Hines, I think, on X. I may not be pronouncing that name right because I live inside of the internet, but he has a very well-known and followed account in the retweet space. He's never posted ever. And he's actually made a commitment to never posting on his main thread and only being a reply guy. But he is so good. I hope he never breaks it. Molzer's trying to get him to break it. I'm hoping it doesn't happen.
Come on.
But I mean, it'd be great. It's a good story. However, yes, sharing your personality and interacting with people in public will make it a different experience when somebody comes into your DMs. Okay, that was sidebar.
That's fine. We always sidebar, but it's the point of we're showing those people in the DMs are showing their personality, right? And I would like to actually kind of segue into a little bit of be careful how you answer in your DMs, because you can, or not even in your DMs. I meant in your comments, because if you're an asshole in the comments all the time, people are not going to want to deal with you.
I have several names coming to mind that I will not say. However, this is the other thing, is that if people are really trying to check you out, I feel like we're doing a little fear mongering right now, but like this is important because like I feel like it is, I want to encourage people to show up more on this space, but then on the flip side of it, there are some people who show up in the space in a way that's really detrimental that I don't think that they understand. But
are we thinking the same person?
Yes, we 100% are. We'll take it offline. However, here's the deal.
It like clicked that I was like,
yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the deal. People can see that too. people can see that too. When you click over on X, you can go look at at everything that person has commented on. And the same thing on LinkedIn. It is harder to find that now on any of the other apps. Although like if you're, I see this more in local communities. Like if you're responding in groups and commenting on things and like really connected, it can still happen there and come back to you. However, on LinkedIn directly, you can click over and see, okay, what was this person's last 10 comments? And fun fact, I saw recently a profile of somebody who doesn't post, doesn't comment, doesn't really have any activity, except like one time 3 months ago, they said something kind of mean on somebody's post. And when you scroll down on that profile, it's loud and clear bannered right in front. So, yes.
So note to self.
And look, somebody needs to be really interested in you.
Yes.
To dig that deep. But look, you need to think about what are they going to find when they're there. And I think that this is part of the reason why people are scared of these apps, because they're worried about somebody going deep on them. But look, if you don't show up like a butthole online and you're generally positively contributing to the conversation and to the community, you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
So, you know, and so this is also a part of like why we're having this conversation, is because I don't feel that, look, like I talk to brokers all the time. I have so many conversations with people, and you people don't understand how good you are. It's really sad. Like you don't see the value in the stories that you have. You don't have confidence or the practice of telling those own stories. So you either don't say anything or you default to cliches that are actually stripping you of your voice. Because you don't feel like you have permission to say what you want. You don't feel like you have the direction and the clarity to say what you want. And a lot of that gets buried underneath the fear of saying the wrong thing. But you probably are great. If you were not great, you may actually not even think about this and just do it anyway, right? Which is in reference to some things that we're discussing.
Yes.
But sorry, this is a little bit of tangent, but I am a little tired of people thinking that they're not good and they don't have anything to say.
Right. No, those are actual legitimate conversations that we have with brokers, is the fact that they're like, well, I'm not very interesting. I'm like, you have stories.
Bro, I literally left a whole career in like entertainment and fiction and like, you know, drama and all this stuff. And the stories that are here are way more interesting than anything anybody could make up. Okay. Sorry, go on.
No, that's exactly it. It's just they don't have a framework, or they don't know how to frame the story, because they've never really looked at how they tell a story. Think about some of your friends. Who out of your friend group is the best storyteller, right? That like whatever they open their mouth and they start, well, let me tell you about this time. And you just sit there and you're like, yes, tell us, right? Like think about those people in your friend group who really tell a good story, and then figure out how you can emulate that. I think we believe that our stories are not as important as they are. And then because of that, when we do create stories, it's like, oh, well, this has to teach a lesson. And to your point, we have to stop forcing the takeaway, right? We have to stop forcing people to see the moral of the story. And we have to stop forcing ourselves to come up with something that's a teachable moment, because not every story has to have a smack dab teachable moment. Now, part of the list that you sent me is why people fall into cliches and overused hooks.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that, right? Right? Because we see other people doing it. I liken it to when you go to the gym and there's a piece of equipment that you've never worked on before, right? And so you're watching the person use it and you're like, okay, I'm figuring out what they're doing. And then you start doing what they're doing. And then 2 years later, you know, finally somebody's like, hey, you know, you're using that wrong. And you're like, what? No, I'm not. I watched somebody else do it. No, you've been doing it wrong for the last 2 years, right? So just because somebody's using a hook, okay.
Well, I also want to say, because I'm really trying to shift. Good morning, Gabe. Good morning, Gabe. Also a legend. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. I also want to shift this whole, like, you're doing it wrong thing. You're doing it wrong thing. It's like okay, because again, I'm trying to encourage people to not like get just like shut down because they think they can't do it. Right.
Right.
So there is a way to do it that will get you better results, as opposed to the idea of doing it wrong. There is a way to do this exercise. There is a way to write your post. There's a way to frame your content, all this stuff that will get you better results. Does that make sense? That like mindset shift?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I totally derailed your thought. I'm just like,
no.
Thinking about this.
It's reframing. It's really is what it's doing, is reframing how you're looking at what you're doing. And real quick, I just want to say congrats to Gabe Einhorn for being one of our scholars. He is one of our scholarship recipients for CREI Summit, which is September 10th through the 12th. Very excited. And actually, Gabe, are you going to be on the call today on Twitter, on X, with Warren Tingen? It's at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking to all of the CREI scholars, or at least as many that can get on the call, and what it means to them to be part of the group. So we're really excited to have you there in Palm Desert. If you guys have questions about CREI Summit, it's CREISummit.com. And we are still doing lists. So we have podcast list as well as TikTok list. Podcast list is, you can submit, I believe, up until August 15th. Podcast list, you can submit up until September 11th. So
I'm so proud of you and in awe of you that you just could rattle all of that off the top of your head.
That's radio, honey. That is radio right there.
Girl, I know it. But okay, so
back to the subject at hand.
Okay, so but what you were saying is that it's this like copy and paste thing.
Yep.
Of just like we see somebody doing it a certain way and we don't know what we're doing, so we start to model. We copy that behavior, we copy that exercise, we copy that hook. And you want to know what? Also, like, if that's what it took for you to get started, that's great. I love it. But Absolutely. Then there is a way to do it correctly, or a way that will change the results you're getting, and then, like, you know, maybe also sometimes keep you safer in the gym and online.
Danielle asks, she says, what are the lists about? So
CREI list.
Yep, CREI Summit comes out with lists for people who are active on Instagram, LinkedIn, X.
All of
so
them.
There's two there was one for the retweet community, which is the investment portfolio side. And then there was the X community, which are people who are just active on the platform. So there's these lists that come out, and what you do is you submit your numbers. It's kind of a personal thing. Like you can nominate somebody, but it's way easier if you just go ahead and submit your own numbers. You've probably seen them all over LinkedIn, and then you get little badges and stuff like that. So that's what CREI Summit, or that's what the CREI, the influencers list does.
Yeah, and it's more than just like a popularity contest, right? Like they're looking at, you know, they're looking at some of the deeper behind the under the hood analytics in terms of, you know, the reach and specific posts and you know, like, you know, there's a lot that goes into it too. So
yes. Yeah, absolutely. But that's what the lists are. And you can see them on the CREI Summit website too. But going back to,
yeah. Go. So, I mean, so like so encouraging people to start writing in whatever way, or start producing content and in whatever way that works for them, right? Like often, you know, I said this on Tuesday, often using, you know, those sort of like bad writing or cliches, or like some of the, you know, some of these overused hooks or things like that will get you started. But the reason that these can be challenging to get the results that you're looking for, which is like getting people to read your content, like having those connections, like lead into real conversations and relationships, right? Like it's about more than just posting. When you start with a forced hook or a forced takeaway or something that's a little bit of a generic headline, like and also this applies to everything, like when we do the whole lambasting of humbled and honored, or I'm excited to announce, or all this stuff, like all of this stuff that you see that's very, very cookie cutter, it diminishes what is actually in reality of like a very good story into something that people are just going to scroll past.
Right.
Because it doesn't, because it actually flattens the nuance of what the story that you're trying to tell. And again, I'm operating from the assumption, and it's not just an assumption, I'm correct, that probably everything that you post is something that's worth sharing.
Yes.
I'm actually going to like, I think that if you have the impulse to share something, it is 100% worth sharing. I think you should follow that. But by putting it in, in some of these cookie cutter template, formats, like it completely strips the story out of something that your audience would be interested in, right? And so when you talk about, like attention media, interest media, this stuff, it's like, if everybody is saying the same thing, there's no reason to listen. And so it's not, again, it's not about doing something wrong. It's not about using a cliche. It's about expressing something in a way that only you can.
It's not always strategy, right? It's the sincerity with what you're saying, the thing. So strategy is all well and good, and you can have a formulaic approach, but what really gets people is how they connect with your words and with your intent. And you have to let the audience pull their own meaning from the stories that you share. Right?
Yeah.
You can't.
Everything you just said. Yum, yum, yum.
Every once in a while, I get a good one. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut. So, but that's the thing. It's like we get so focused on, and I talk to clients about this. They're so focused on having that teachable moment. They're so focused on like, I need more likes. I need more impressions. I need. And it's like, yeah, but are you actually sharing anything of value? Yeah. Are you sharing something that's going to stop the scroll, or are you posting because you feel like you have to post? And that's a question that you definitely need to like sit down and say, self, am I posting just to post because I feel like I have to put something on a platform, or is it going to help further your business? And by that, I mean, is it going to create top of mind awareness so that when people are thinking about your business and your community, are you coming up first? Right? So some of the best content that we see doesn't have anything to do with commercial real estate, right? Some of the best content we see are those posts where, maybe it was a life lesson. Obviously not, here's my latest life lesson. Right?
That's like Clarissa explains it all. You want to know what? Actually, the posts that I see doing really well, oh no, it's tracking you. The posts I see doing really well that use these sort of like cliche frameworks are the ones that are totally lambasting them and satirizing them. You know what I mean? Which is like, again, like that, that's an indicator of a very specific personality. However, would totally beg for a broker to do a Clarissa Explains It All style of whatever they want. That one's for free. Somebody can have that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's the thing is that there's so much stuff that you can do in this space that nobody else has done. And even if somebody else has done it, there's a potential that you could do it so much better. Like doing something like Clarissa Explains It All. And if you're not a 90s kid and don't understand that reference, you have Google at your fingertips, okay? You can.
God, the 90s were the last great decade, I swear.
Seriously. Best music, best clothes.
Again, like, I will never forget when I learned the word commoditize and just like what that means in the land of content. I can't believe I just said that, but just, like
in the realm of content,
in the realm of I just
Cheers.
Question. Dwayne, I haven't come across a lot of appraisers actually. I need to think about that one. But this is an interesting question because at like, there are so many areas of this industry that are ripe for you to become the person that is known for that thing. I'm serious, especially if you're in a tertiary market. Oh my God. There's
Well, and
so
also
much room
this
for people
brings
to
up
take up.
a good point. Like, so you have insurance, you have appraisers, you have lawyers. There's all types of content that can be created, especially if you live. It doesn't even matter where you live. You can talk about small town life. You can talk. There's so much stuff. You don't have to box yourself in. When I sit down and do discovery calls, or when we do when we do kind of a deep dive with a client, it's what are your interests outside of commercial real estate, right? Like I had a client that had done like 10 Ironman triathlons, and I was like, holy shit, dude, that's amazing. What got you into that? What was the impetus to get you there? What did you learn from that? What has that, and again, we're going to talk about the fact that like, oh, it taught me about business. I'm like, how did you take those skills, that discipline, all of that stuff and apply it to your business? Because I'm assuming having that type of personality is you would take that to business, right?
Yeah.
And so think about some of those things. Are you a parent? Can you talk about, not as we saw on Tuesday, like not every day is a great day with your kids. Sometimes
I watched the replay and it was not that bad, but
it
like
wasn't bad.
there was I texted, I DM'd you after. I was like, there was so much happening on the other side of this that it was just like, for posterity, I'm gonna save that and be like, look how well I handled this. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, but
hold on real quick. One of the points that you made in the notes that you sent me is regularly creating content and writing helps you recognize takeaways faster. And
okay.
I love that because of the fact that I do think with the age in the world of AI, right? Okay. So with AI, I love AI. I use AI all the time, but I've also trained my AI, right? Like I have input the data so the AI it sounds like me. It doesn't sound like AI, okay? I've taken the time to do that. A lot of folks don't want to take the time to do that, or they don't understand how to do that. And so they get a chat GPT response or a Claude response that sounds like a chat GPT or Claude response. I would say something to do if you're not doing it, just journal every morning for like 3 to 4 minutes. I don't say 5 minutes because 5 minutes seems like a really long time. But if you can do it for 3 minutes, right? You can journal.
I'm like 20 to 25 minutes every day. There's a lot going on in here though.
See, and my journal is more of like the way, and I haven't journaled in a long time. So I did it for like 3 years straight, where I journaled very specific things that I wanted to happen. So more of a manifestation thing, very specific things that I wanted to happen. And then I repeated that. So that was my journaling. Journaling is however you want it to look. It doesn't have to be your deepest, darkest secrets. It is however, and I think for me, the reason why I didn't journal for a long time is because I thought I had to pour my soul out on a piece of paper. And I was like, that's too much, dude. That like literally the whole ADHD brain was just like, no, bitch, you ain't doing this. Like, this is too much, right? So when I allowed, going back to something that Danielle said, giving self permission, right?
Yes.
When I allowed myself to realize that my journaling journey doesn't have to look like everybody else's, I gave myself my permission to just write. Basically, it's just like a list, right, of things, like things that I was grateful for, things that I wanted to see. I did that for 3 years, right? Every morning. But I didn't take more than like 3 to 5 minutes to do it. I just, boom, and it was done.
Yeah, it's like at this, and two sides of the coin. At the same time that it's like, you don't just post to post something, don't feel like you have to say anything in a specific way. And there doesn't always need to be a lesson, of course, but I do, that the point that I made about, and that you expanded upon on the journaling and getting into the practice. It's getting into the practice of noticing. It's getting into the practice of articulating, so that when you feel like you have the impulse of like, this feels like something that I'm noticing it for a reason. It's, triggering something in my brain that makes it remarkable. It feels like something that is worth sharing, but like you may not have entirely figured out how to share it, right? Like a part of the reason that we talk to each other in this business is to learn from each other and to like gain perspective and help each other grow. And so like sometimes I see people do this too, where it's like they're sort of circling around a thought and it's not complete, and so they feel it's an observation, but it's not a lesson, and they feel like that makes it not worthy of posting. And I'm just like, you want to know what? Like, first of all, just post it, and post it with that, level of sincerity of just like, this is something that I'm noticing, and I'm trying to figure it out, right? And then invite other people into the conversation, just like you would if you were at an event, speaking with someone over a drink. And
yes.
Yeah. And then the other side of that being, the more like the more that you do it, if you posted, twice as much as you're posting now, or just at all, the more the more that you do it, the faster that you get, because you're getting the reps in. It's just like making your calls. The first call that you made when you were a baby broker, you probably were sweating through your shirt. You know what I mean? And like, you didn't know what to say, and you didn't know if it worked. And then you want to know what? You put down the phone and then you picked it up again. And it is exactly the same thing when you're posting on social media or you're commenting on social media, because it's a different format, and it sucks because yes, like everybody can see it, but that is a part of the reason that it's so powerful.
Right.
And so, I think that, if one of the reasons that you are getting stopped up, and we're over time, but I just want to articulate this thought. We can continue the conversation on Tuesday, but it's like, you need to, in all of your work that you're doing as a broker, or whatever, role that you have that's adjacent, in this business, the way you think and what you say and what you do and what is the only differentiator that you have. And so because at some point, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's, everyone's selling and leasing buildings, whatever. Like the function is absolutely the same across the board. You are the only reason to do business with you. And so
it's the personality that connects.
Yeah.
Right.
And go ahead.
Nope.
There's a big difference. Let me just put it this way. It's very easy to start a story with, it's a dark and stormy night.
Please do it.
Everybody can tell that story. The only like your specific experience in articulating that is going to be the thing that keeps people reading. Now, if some broker came on here and was like, it's a dark and stormy night, like, I would definitely read that post 100%. Because nobody's posting like that. But like, the point I'm trying to make is like, that's something that anybody can say, but like, what if like the experience that you have that is specific to you, like, it was starting to hail on my client and I couldn't open the lockbox. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Or just like, like, here's what I learned about business is anybody can say that. I want people to start leading with what they saw and what they noticed from it, and then just take us on a journey as if you were telling a friend. I had this conversation and I can't stop thinking about it. Like I saw, just, we're over time, but I'm just like, there's a way to transform and elevate your writing if you have the confidence and clarity about injecting yourself into the story, as opposed to relying on
cliches,
what everyone is saying. I don't know.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's really, it comes down to the personality that connects and the community that you build. And I think if you look at it from that perspective, what kind of community do I want to build? What kind of connections do I want to have? That provides the clarity to create better posts. And it also helps you realize that just because maybe your post didn't go viral like you wanted it to, but you touched one person and that person reached out to you, right? That's what matters. That's what matters.
That was me tying up a little bow.
Tying a bow.
Put it off into the internet.
All right, everybody. We are over time. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday. We will see you back on Tuesday. Don't know what we're going to be talking about, but I can guarantee you it'll be entertaining. We'll see you on Thursday.
I'm
on Tuesday. Tuesday. We'll see you guys. Have a good weekend.